In all cultures around the world, some sort of arrangement of system has always existed, and it will always continue to exist in some form. Whenever a living being forms a group, the hierarchy is automatically formed, be it an arrangement by duty or work, or by the virtue of power. It is true for any human or animal, be it a group of monkeys, or a group of dogs, or chimpanzee, or be it a group of people. Talking about the Hindus in today's era, the known caste system includes Brahmin or priest, Kshatriya or warrior and rulers, Vaishya or skilled traders or merchants, and Sudra or workers. In Europe, there is a hierarchy of king, noble, knights, and serf. In Japan, they have shogun, daimyos, samurai, ronin, peasants, and merchants. So basically, all cultures have some sort of arrangement bound to system, but just with different names. In context of racism, it is found across the whole world. Racism in United States has always existed since the colonial era, when white Americans were given legally or socially sanctioned privilege and rights, while these same rights were denied to other races and minorities. They are based on the color of their skin. Black Americans are more likely than white Americans to be arrested. Once arrested, they are more likely to be convicted, and once convicted, they are more likely to experience lengthy prison sentence. Black Americans and white Americans use drugs at similar rates, but black Americans are 6 times more likely to be arrested for it. Official police numbers highlights the fact that cops are most likely to stop and frisk dark-skinned Americans than white Americans. In the context of feudal system in Western Europe, the demise of the feudal system occurred because of the bubonic plague causing the population to decrease by half, so there was a lot of land but not many people to work on it. But in today's context, we cannot pray for such things to happen for eliminate for caste system or racial discrimination. For this, we need to work together by voicing for each other at a time of need and a time of unjust. Let me talk about the origin of caste system in Hindus. The word Hindu comes from Sindhu river, given by Iranian Parsis as they could not pronounce Sindhu and instead call it Hindu. At the time of Rig Veda, there was no such terms as caste. Everyone was the working class, that is Sudra by birth, which in later context, as a result of civilization and colonization, it changed into the arrangement or formation for the goal of given community. In those times, Vedic people used to refer themselves as Aryans and Das for the native inhabitant. As time passed, on there were 4 divisions or arrangement of Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudras, which were based on their skill. Every person is working class, that is Sudra by birth. He then progresses with his deeds. The one who has come to his habits is lower caste or Sudra. Then the one who thinks about profit and gains from fellow seekers is of business class, that is Vaishya. And the same person, when with expanded consciousness, how can everyone benefits and how he can protect others, then that is a warrior or Kshatriya. A warrior is he who thinks let him also gain so that he can give. Let others as well as him be protected. And lastly, Brahmin is he who thinks he do not want anything. He is here for everyone else. Each beat of his life is for others and is ready to serve all. These arrangements were based on his individual tendencies and nature. But as time went by, these arrangements began to be based on to whom he was born, as slowly the son used to take the same occupation as their father, and slowly these things became rigid. These occupations transferred from generation to generation. The surnames were created according to their occupation. Hence the system of caste is begun. There was no central education system where individuals studied for 18 years before figuring out what to do. Children were the economic assets who had to learn the trade of their family as quickly as possible. We must also understand that in ancient time, there were no engineering schools and medical schools. skills were transmitted from generation to generation by maintaining this caste system. So Sudra could never be a Brahmin. In this system, the membership is both hierarchy and hereditary, and it's permanent. Intercaste marriage is almost impossible as it carries a social disgrace, especially when it takes place between two castes at extreme ends of the society. Caste determines an individual behavior, obligation, and expectation. It also determines the limit access to land, position of political power, and command of human labor. Violating these rules is liable to certain punishment like social boycott. The lower caste is considered polluted and thus not allowed to touch or stay close to higher caste people. They are also deprived of entering temples, funeral places, restaurants, shops, and other public places. They are also not allowed to utilize public drinking water taps and wells. They are also barred from entering the homes of higher caste. So, the Aryan around 5,000 years ago came from Europe to Southeast Asia in search of better land and reached India through Iran. But in India, they already have a civilization named Mohenjo-daro and Harappa and had a conflict war between them. After around 300 years, Aryan got their victory and they made the losers their slave. So, all the non-Aryans were slaves of Aryans. But as the population increased, there started a conflict between the Aryans as well. For example, the Great Mahabharata War was fought between two Aryans brothers, and we found some kind of discrimination in those times as well. For example, in Karna's and Eklavya cases, Dronacharya does not accept them as his student because they were not from a royal family. So, the losing Aryans becomes the slave of winning Aryans. In this way, the slave system was introduced in the society. Around the whole world, the division of occupation increased as population grows more. Hence, the population was divided into four caste systems. The first one was Brahmin, who gained knowledge and spread education. The second one is the ruler or Kshatriya. The third one is a trader or Vaishya, and the fourth one is the worker and for service known as Sudra. According to the ancient recording and texts, says Vyasa, who was born to Sudra caste woman or fisherman, but by work he became a Brahmin and created such an epic Mahabharata. He was raised in a Sudra caste family and believed to be Gun in his early days. He also achieved a Brahmin character by his work. But as time flew, system got corrupted and people started to recognizing caste system with surnames, and it became a family tradition to pass on skills. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that Chatur Varna Maya Shreshtham Gunakarma Vivak Gasha Tasya Kartar Mapi Ma Vidya Kartaram Biyam. Birth is not the cause, my friend. It is virtue which are the cause of auspiciousness. Another thing which many people misinterpret mentioned in Vedas, that Brahmin character came out of Lord Vishnu's head. Out of his hands came the Kshatriya character. Out of his stomach came the Vaishya character. And out of his legs came the Sudra character. Let me first clarify that in Vedas, it is not mentioned that any caste came out of Vishnu's body. Rather, it is mentioned that Vishnu's head is Brahman's skill. Vishnu's hands are Kshatriyas. Now just imagine, if a baby is born out of mother's womb, we won't say that the child is the mother's stomach. Then why the scriptures mention this way? It has been purposely mentioned in Vedas. Vishnu is the metaphor who represents any group of people. Example, if Vishnu represents a society, Brahman character formed the decision-making part of society. Like in modern world, a country's head is the government. Society's hands were Kshatriyas. Same in modern time, the army worked for any country. Similarly, the stomach of the society were the Vaishya. Like modern days, business and companies. And legs of society were Sudra character. In modern day, you may compare with people doing jobs in society, providing service to government and private organization. You may consider any group in this form of system. you will find the 4-level application in any group or organization. But just because Brahmin is decision making, they became superior and Sudra is providing, so they became inferior to them, is not true. Because a body's head is as important as body's leg is to any human. Therefore, this concept has been mentioned in Vedas by stating Vishnu as a metaphor. We can actually use this system in our lives. You can evaluate people on the basis of their skills and recruit them as per your needs. There is no evidence in Rig Veda for an elaborate, much subdivided and overarching caste system. Joel Bareton, professor of Sanskrit and Religious Studies. The Rig Vedic society was neither organization on the basis of social division of labor nor in that of difference in wealth. Ram Saran Sharma, famous historian and academician. So, it is believed in post-Vedic era, life became more materialistic with the society being more focused on monetary gain. As system got corrupted and people started recognizing caste with surnames, and it became a family tradition to pass on skill. Hence, the caste system is believed to have started, and hence, people were forced to do the same jobs that were done by their ancestor. This was quite unique that was just applied in South Asia. People were not allowed to choose or change their occupation. The Brahmin and Kshatriya were profited from this system, but the Vaishya and Sudra were not able to progress who was supposed to serve the society. If they were appointed to clean the city, then all the generations got stuck cleaning the cities. They were not allowed to gain education or to use any kind of weapons. So this started a conflict between these classes, as one were always on the top without any struggle and get the opportunities to, while others can never reach to the top in their whole life. The powerful wants to hold on their privilege while the suppressed wants to get out of it. Vaishya and Sudra starts to raise their voice against the system and starts to protest. To suppress the protest, these protests were rejected from the society as the punishment. They were kept far from the civilization and people. Separate wells were made for them. They were not allowed to use others' well or water, were not allowed to visit others' home. This rejected people who protest against the system were kept far from the society and treated as untouchable, and hence the start of racism. So basically, the untouchable were kind of revolutionary back then. So the racism and caste system were totally different. Caste system is a division of occupation, and after a period of time, racism was added in that caste system. This created a gap between people who are rejected from the society and who are within the society. These were well understood by the rulers back then and began to apply this as a law. The one who cannot pay their loan were dropped to untouchables. People involved in crimes were dropped to untouchables. People who married these untouchables were dropped to untouchables. Lots of laws were passed by the ruler and created a huge population of untouchables. This did not allow people to be united, and they were all easily ruled by the ruler. This creates a situation where people try to dominate other people instead of getting rid of this hierarchy. For example, there is a division between the people of untouchables as well, as who is higher caste and who is of lower caste. Instead of fighting together with this system, they were fighting against each other. Such cruelty of caste system that completely got removed was the breast tax, or Moolkarma. It was a tax imposed on a lower caste and untouchable Hindu woman by the kingdom of Travancore in the present-day Kerala state of India, if they wanted to cover their breasts in public until 1924. The lower caste and untouchable women were expected to pay the government a tax on their breast as soon as they start developing breasts. The lower caste men had to pay a similar tax called Talakaram on their heads. Travancore tax collectors would visit every house to collect breast tax from any lower caste woman who passed the age of puberty. The tax was evaluated by the tax collector depending on the size of their breast. Now talking about a caste system in Nepal No any caste system was found during Kirati rule. After Lichavi came to Nepal from Vaishali, India, they attacked Kirat and Kirat loses and they were escaped to Banepa and later to Tamakosi. These were the Rais and Limbus. Then Lichavi began to rule Nepal. They were well educated about this caste system from India and started the caste system in Nepal. In the rise of Malla dynasty, the first king, Aridev, came from Ujjain and attacked Lichavis, who himself was a Lichavi. And since he was fond of wrestling, he adopted the title Malla, hence the practice of adopting such a name was followed as a surname. According to various historical sources, even though the presence of Varna and caste had been a known element in social structure of Kathmandu Valley since the Lichavi period, Jayasiti Malla, 14th century king of Nepal, with the aid of 5 Kanya Kubja and Maithili Brahmins, whom he invited from the Indian plains, divided the population of the valley into each of 4 major classes: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, derived from the ancient Hindu text Manusmriti and based on individual occupational roles. Later on, Shah took the dynasty from them as well, after the unification of Nepal. Around 1910, Nepal made a civil act by Janga Bahadur Rana which states which castes are superior and which castes are untouchables. The caste system in Nepal was earlier incorporated in the national law in order to incorporate people of different origin and bring them under an umbrella. All the punishments were based on the caste. For example, if the Brahmins marry his sister-in-law, then he will be jailed for a few years. But if the Dalits or untouchable marries his sister-in-law, then he would be killed. So, the untouchables or Dalits were not allowed to join in armies. These Dalits were kept out of money, education, and weapon. Dalit or untouchables were allowed to make the equipment needed for the weapons, but they were not allowed to use the weapons. In today's world as well, there is a gap between rich and poor. To be honest, as long as people remain as untouchables, Dalits, and lack proportional representation in every aspect of society and governance, it is extremely hard to imagine a developed Nepalese society. Government must take immediate initiative to make improvement in every major issues of marginalized groups. Otherwise, the problem continues to plague our society. The Nepali caste system is alive and active even if it doesn't officially exist. Institutions like the caste system have been outlawed, yet caste discrimination still occurs. In a land where every animal is worshipped, these fellow humans are treated worse than any animal, even in the 21st century. There still exists a wealth gap between the highest and lowest caste. A politician caste continues to be an important deciding factor for many voters, and marrying or acting outside of one caste continues to be a taboo in many rural areas. To become completely caste-free, more education, government policies, and social programs may be needed. Racism can affect anyone. It can make you feel like you are not important or don't fit in it. You might feel upset, depressed, or angry. You can be affected by it even when it's not aimed at you. Like if you hear something discriminating against someone's culture. It includes all the barriers and that prevent people from enjoying dignity and equality because of their race. God has created all humans equally, so we should not divide people by their caste. A person should be judged by his/her nature and thoughts, not by caste. Skills can be transmitted in many different ways today. We have educational and technological institutions. Largely, transfer of skill does not happen through family anymore. The caste system is no longer relevant in that context. Until we establish a national-wide security system for every citizen in this country, the caste system will continue to exist to some extent. Just trying to abolish the caste system and work against it will not produce result. People are still clinging together to the system mainly because of the social security it provides. There is still a social situation in this country why this caste system stuck on like this. This was the only means of transmitting skills. Family was the only institution transmitting knowledge, so we did not want to corrupt that and so maintain that. There is no social security in the country. If tomorrow something goes wrong in your life, for example, if you are a girl and you married some strange boy and something went wrong with your life, like you fell ill or an accident happened or something happened, now the only person you can fall upon is your clan. You go and knock on somebody's door, but they will not open the door. You have to go to your caste. If you say I belong to this caste, then they will come saying we will do something for you. So this is the social security you still have. But recently, in today's area, in urban areas, that may not matter. But in rural areas, if you just break away from your caste completely, you are completely on your own. If something goes wrong, nobody is going to stand up for you. It is very important that we bring a proper universal social security system and an educational system which will transmit skills to everyone according to their aptitude. When this happens, the relevance of the caste system will completely disappear. Once that happens, I think the caste system will die a natural death. Thank you.